Hello YouTube, this is Golden Eman1 here, and today we're going to discuss whether facility alerts should return in Planetside 2. Back in the day, there was a type of alert where each faction had to capture as many of the same type of major facilities as they could. For example, capturing the most biolabs across Indar, Amrish and Esmir, as Unison wasn't made back then. I remember how the Terran Republic on Miller split their forces into groups of platoons / outfits, and they would be responsible for looking after their specified continent and defend major facilities as well as attacking enemy ones. In order to win these alerts, it meant communications had to be made across command channel, and it gave leaders a sense of global strategy. So then, why were they removed? A lot of the time, around the major facilities, everyone would go there, leading to FPS drops and crashes, and one of those only in Planetside 2 moments, and as a result many players complained about facility alerts. Also, because of continent lock-in, facility alerts wouldn't really make much sense, as the winning faction would technically lock all the continents. Eventually they were removed, and territory alerts have now been around ever since. The faction that would have the most territory on the continent would lock the continent and have the active benefit until it unlocks again, but with the addition of victory points, alerts aren't the only thing that you can rely on to lock a continent. However, recently there has been a small outcry for facility alerts to return, so much so even a petition has been made. A reason why they could return is because they'll spread out the population of factions across the continents. I'm not sure if this is just my server, but for some reason Unison isn't played as much as the other continents, but with the addition of facility alerts, that might change and bring light to a truly unique continent. Also, since the faction has done so much work to win the facility alert, they could get bigger bonuses. So for example, if they won a tech plant alert, they could get 75% off nanites when pulling vehicles, or maybe they could be able to pull tanks from outposts. I don't know, a bit crazy, but who knows. One thing people used to enjoy were the tech plant alerts, and the reason for this was the fact that they encouraged a huge tank battle. If the enemy captured a nearby satellite outpost to the tech plant, it would encourage the defenders to pull tanks and vehicles from the tech plant to defend it at all costs, while the attackers would bring the firepower to combat that. Facility alerts just encourage the idea behind the game of having these massive battles. But on the other hand, facility alerts just wouldn't pair up with the victory points. Well then, just remove the victory point system. Well, considering that the construction system and hives play a big part in the VP system, that simply won't be possible. As mentioned previously, continents wouldn't be locked, meaning fights would be much smaller because the population would be spread out between 4 continents. This will create a huge issue for smaller servers or when servers are not at their prime time. Fights would just be hard to find. When you flip the coin, Zergs might just stream down one lane against a non-existent enemy to the point where it creates a bad Planetside 2 experience, especially to the newer players. Also, overpopped factions during facility alerts would have a much higher advantage since they have more players to contribute to fights, which underpins the faction balance in continent queues. Some facility alerts were about controlling one type of major facility on the continent. For example, controlling the AMP stations on Esmir. However, the problem with this is that usually each faction had its own AMP station to start off with in the alert, and if they saw it being attacked, well, most of the population would redeploy there to defend it. So as a result, these facility alerts on continents often ended up in draws. What could happen is, instead of having only one type of major facility needing to be captured and held, it could be all 3 types of major facilities, so factions would need to defend their tech plant, keep an eye on their AMP station, and maybe push for the biolab. So maybe facility alerts should never return because of what I've just mentioned, and after all, they were mainly removed because people complained about them. But this small outcry does raise the point that players want some new meta and some reason to win an alert. Perhaps completely new types of alerts should be made which incorporates global strategy but at the same time is winnable. One idea could be an alert based on refining the most courtium from the start of the alert, and this way you'll encourage people to build better bases and as well as this attacking enemy ones to steal the cores. To prevent cores from being stored up by factions, I think that the time for factions cores to be neutral should be decreased. Now, this is just one idea which will come with positives and negatives, but I'm also interested in what your ideas are, so why don't you leave them in the comments down below. So now I want to hand the question over to you. Should facility alerts return into Planetside 2? Why don't you pop down into the comments down below and explain why they should or should not return. But yeah guys, that'll be about it for this video. If you've enjoyed this video, why don't you smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, why don't you hit that subscribe button to receive some more golden quality content. But nonetheless guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.